This is the First Descendant. We're here on PlayStation 5. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is a free-to-play looter shooter with co-op elements for up to 4 players with a passive kind of online multiplayer experience where you'll run into other people and other characters as you fight hordes of, well, enemies and everything like that. It's some kind of weird dimensional ethereal rift thing, and now we fight against the, enemies and everything like that in order to save, yeah, humanity or whatever. You know, the usual sort of thing. Yeah, so it's kind of actually pretty solid, but it's actually quite a bit of fun. I would have had my account carried over, because there's like, you can link your accounts and stuff, but the Xbox network is down, which is hilarious, so kind of funny. Kind of funny. Anyways, we've got a few different graphical options in this one, and just like a host of features to enjoy from a visual and a technical standpoint. So this is kind of like the opening prologue, and introduces you to the gameplay mechanics, gives you an idea of the cutscenes and stuff, which look really great. This is a UE5 game, Unreal Engine 5. And I think this is the first of this sort of scale where it's a Destiny-like or Warframe-like sort of looter-shooter experience. So we've got 3 different graphical choices. We've got a Fidelity, a Balanced, and a Performance mode. So you're seeing Balanced right now. And then we've also got Frame Gen, which is really cool. We've got a ray tracing setting you can choose, where it'll be Lumen for illumination. We've got HDR, we've got Spatial Sound, we've got DTSX, Dolby Atmos, so all the audio features, all the settings like that, all available. So let's dive in and continue a little bit further. And we're going to be showing those off, but the big issue is we have to go to the main menu, so you're going to have to wait till a little bit later for me to be able to show you essentially the graphical settings here. So balanced, and like I said, you got to go to the main menu to change this stuff. But we can turn on frame gen. Ray tracing is another one that you have to turn on actually like in the main menu. So yeah, let's dive in. So like all UE5 games, it's going to be a like temporal reconstruction up to like 4K 60 FPS, and some of the modes will go a little bit beyond depending on the situation. Like we're not getting like a full like 120 FPS or anything, but it does actually go beyond the scope of I guess you would say, well, 60 FPS depending on your mode, like performance mode. And then like balance mode, I think you might theoretically be able to get up that level. So I also noticed flickering, or I'm noticing flickering right now when I have the frame gen on, but that does not seem to be showing up in the recording. So I don't know if that's kind of the TV's VRR kind of kicking in or whatnot for the PlayStation. So if you are noticing that, I just wanted to highlight it. And it does seem like there is actually like a flickering going on, but only when I have the frame gen going, which is rather fascinating. And then yeah, as soon as frame gen is off, it's all of a sudden gone for me, but it doesn't seem like it actually showed up in the recording, which means it's likely a TV issue in that regard, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, you get a high fidelity set of models. I do wish there was more descendants. You get like 3 to choose from off the start. They're pre-selected characters, and your customization, since it is a free-to-play game, is you have to buy like microtransactional stuff. There's like a maid outfit for her and everything like that. So she does like ice attacks. There's a guy, he does grenade attacks, and then there's another weird creature dude that does void attacks. So she was the obvious choice because she's got the best assets going on, what can I say? But I do wish there was a bit more like character personalization. Like it's more like you have to buy the customization, stuff like that. So Vulgus, they crossed dimensions 100 years ago, and now we're dealing with them and fighting them, and we've got an ethereal guide, and we've got creatures to shoot and things to blast. And I mean, it's your pretty typical looter shooter. It's got some fun gameplay mechanics, the grappling hook and everything like that. UE5 world and everything. So if you've played UE5 games, they are quite technically demanding, but they all have like a very similar sort of like aesthetic for very realistic rock and environmental techniques and everything like that. I think you'll see that too, especially if you get to visit kind of the open world element of this game. Is there are quite a few different areas. And it's open world in the sense of like kind of like Destiny, where you've got these hub type worlds that you are kind of going into. And then your character has a few different weapon sets. So we've got a sniper, and we've got a shotgun. Kind of like a heavy weapon when you hold down. And these are kind of your initial things, like it's, as I mentioned, a looter shooter, so you're going to be collecting different guns and weapons and whatnot across the experience that you have. So you will be gathering all sorts of, you know, items and stuff and tools, and you'll be leveling and battling and interacting with other characters, and yeah, there's actually quite a lot to this in terms of like aesthetic, and there's a lot of like particle effects going on too. Like we have different abilities that we can kind of unleash, and it's just kind of throwing them all at me right now and stuff like that. But you've got like your different ice attacks of this character, or like ice feet to kind of like move a little smoother and stuff. And yeah, it's all pretty straightforward. We can actually, let me see here. I wonder if we can show off the no, the customization's not available yet. Okay. Yeah, that's when you get into the main world. Because I'm like, there are, you know, different things like weapon skins and different like adjustments to make your character kind of look a little cooler for all those online that are checking you out and stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of neat. And then we got like whirlwind kind of ability here, which is cool. Yeah, definitely a lot going on in this one for sure. Join Bunny. Yeah, I'm working on it. Trying to join Bunny. Bunny joining ain't working. I'm at the rendezvous point. Yeah. So this is where we get like a really intense cutscene cinematic situation where it sort of establishes the setup. Big battle going on. We're trying to get this Iron Heart thing. The Iron Heart's like a big deal. There's Iron Hearts we have to collect, and a big conflict, and we get to see a little bit of a look at our nemesis here. This is a big scary guy who can use the Force as if he's some kind of Jedi thing. There's Bunny, who's injured on the ground right now. This guy's all scary. He's like, oh, you know, like I said, he's got like, he's the one, so he can stop bullets and send them back at you. Master powerful Jedi, and it's like, what are we gonna do? Nothing at all. Just get smacked around. This is what's gonna happen. Yeah. Anyways, let's dive in here and fight this giant monster thing. So this is showing off the element of where it's a little bit like Lost Planet, where you can like kind of you know, zoom out different things and be like, oh, there's some weak points and stuff like that. And yeah, don't worry, this thing is a bit of a joke. You just shoot the different things here and it just like blows up in like 2 seconds. It's supposed to be a big scary monster, but it's like a grave walker and it's like a 2-second thing. You know, and stuff like that. Bunny is all injured and damaged. Yeah, Bunny's having better days. Great assets going on. We can skip into it. So this is Albion. This is your headquarters. So you're going to notice that everything in this area seems to run at like weird half frames, if that makes sense. Like all your characters, they like have like half frame animations. But this is your like hub world kind of tower space. So this is where you're doing your meetings. It's like the tower in Destiny or whatever is sort of the vibe here. And it's like this big breathtaking setup and stuff. So we're gonna chat with some people quickly, and then we're gonna dive into the kind of hub open world and show off the different visual settings so that you can see those all in action, because I know those are probably pretty important to people. Yeah, but they make us run all the way over here to talk to this ethereal thing, and it goes yep, yeah, blah blah blah. That's great. Thank you so much. You're awesome, guy. And we gotta go talk to this guy over here. Lots of different things you can do here, though. It's your hub world, so you can like buy weapons and tools and stuff like that and everything. So pretty easy going. It's just like, yeah, if you're seeing your characters running at half animations and stuff, that's just, I think, for server reasons or performance reasons or whatever, and it's just in this hub area. Your game is not broken. Yeah, skip, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we can go to the new location. But we are going to quickly show off the customization. So you can see Descendant skins here. And you can see we've got the maid outfit going on, which is quite spectacular. If I was into microtransactions, that's the one I would probably grab. I mean, this one is quite something, eh? But yeah, different skins, and there's different like paint options you can get too. So you can like, you know, kind of do different color schemes on top of stuff. So that's kind of the aesthetic they got going on as you buy and customize and personalize your character and stuff like that, and yeah, different color schemes. Anyways, let's go to the main menu, because that's the only way we can actually change up how the graphic settings are, which is kind of annoying, but I guess, you know, some games they require that because it's sort of how you get it running and stuff like that. So options, we're going to turn on the ray tracing, and we're going to go to fidelity mode, keeping in mind that what is it? The performance mode or whatever can't use the ray tracing, so the ray tracing is off by default for that mode. Yeah. So we got to click all this stuff off because there's a whole bunch of things. We're just going to kind of show this off to you, and it's just going to load everything like that. At least everything's super fast for this loading, and you'll notice that there's a slight flickering for changing the different performance modes. So unlike the Xbox version of games, what happens when PlayStation does its graphical switches are you actually have to kind of like it does like a reset of the settings, if that makes sense. So that's kind of why there is a flicker there, in case you were wondering why that's a thing. There's nothing wrong with the game or anything like that. It's just how the PlayStation 5 does its setting changes. Not super smooth, but, you know, it's just how it works, right? Something went wrong. Okay, well that's a problem. I haven't seen that before. Okay. So hopefully it kind of works this time. That's a new issue right there. Okay. Anyways, the game is kind of neat. I've been having some fun with it and blasting some things and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to diving in more intensively during my streams and stuff to get like a more in-depth feeling of it. So we might follow up with a full review of sorts down the road. So, you know, if you do want that kind of thing, let me know. Yes, go to where I was. Thank you, game. I'm glad the connection to server failed. Ha! Okay, well, we got the Fidelity stuff going on. Let's dive in there. It's kind of a neat setting that it was gonna send me back to where I was, but, you know, I guess it's a bit of a sucks to suck scenario on that one. Albion. And let's go there. Oh, and it's got all the flares of the PS5, you know, like the nice vibration, everything like that. Feels pretty good, honestly, for shooting and movement and stuff. It's great. So I guess we don't get to see the opening cinematic here. That's kind of funny. So you can tell, obviously, that the lighting and everything like that looks much better, much more realistic, and we get the higher quality because we're on the fidelity option, which is kind of nice. And then again, if you wanted to, you could turn on the frame gen usually, but when you have ray tracing on, the frame gen is not allowed. So there's like certain modes, turn off different features and stuff like that, and that's just kind of how it goes. Now, it's cool to have the ray tracing option, everything like that, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because it seems like it's absolutely broken on the PlayStation side of things. So maybe don't go for that. It works on Xbox, does not work on the PlayStation. The ray tracing and stuff like that. Cool. So hopefully that kind of showed you what that graphical mode is. It's more like it's just giving you the higher end stuff, and it's not like it's got a higher threshold in regards to the resolution scale. Like for UE5, what they do for all this stuff, essentially, is because Unreal Engine 5 is so technically demanding, you're basically like everything is upscaling from like a lower resolution, if that makes sense. So you're essentially taking something from a low resolution and you're like using upscaling techniques, and you're pushing all the way to the higher resolutions that we're kind of seeing. So it gives you better clarity, but the consoles are also very limited because of the using AMD hardware. Whereas, like, if we were using NVIDIA hardware, we'd be getting way better looking and running games on the consoles. But sucks to suck. What can I say? So here's the performance mode, and obviously big fidelity dip, but we're getting like, yeah, beyond the 60 FPS threshold, which is nice. Like, it's actually like pretty fluid. Well, when you get the frame gen going on, you definitely get that. But yeah, it's a much lower kind of threshold in regards to the visual fidelity of the experience, but we can see here we can put on the frame gen, which is going to do the little PlayStation resetty thing that it has to do, which I find super odd. I don't... Well, I get why the PlayStation does that, but you'll also notice that the fidelity takes like a bit of a further hit, but it does allow you to have, you know, higher frame rates and everything like that, which is kind of nice. Oh, we're supposed to go into this building. Alright, let's go and do that. I forgot we gotta access little poles. This is where it gets a little Destiny-like, where you've essentially got, you know, these different missions that you're doing. You're going through different, like, outposts and stuff, and it's just kind of getting you set up for the world. Wow, this is some performance-type issues. Lack a little bit of, not as much polish here on the PlayStation side of things, which is a bit weird. Maybe some kind of technical smoothing problems with the UE5. And this is where I'm getting the, kind of the screen flickering again that I was kind of mentioning prior when I was doing the balance mode, but it's not as pronounced here. But yeah, it's like a shadow flickering of VRR. I wonder if that's maybe my core not having enough output. That is a very odd question, but I don't think you're seeing that on the video capture, which is good. So I'm going to turn off frame gen. Again, it's going to do a little bit of a little setup thing, and then we'll be back into the action in order to enjoy that. There we go. Yeah, okay. Now the flickering is gone for me. And we'll get this going. So I would say if you are looking at playing this game, for me, the balance mode is, like, pretty fine. I would say if you're not, TV's not giving you any sort of trouble and stuff like that, performance mode is usually pretty performant. And if you can get frame gen going, it's not too bad either. Across balance or the performance mode. But yeah, it does seem like there's some weird droppage on the PlayStation side of things for this one. Which, I guess, see, that's the thing, is like, I'm assuming it's gameplay oriented, but, you know, it very well could be a case of some server type things too, because this literally, you know, just released everything like that, so server stuff is going to be kind of a part of the experience as well, where there's a thing where it's like, you know, that could be hampering some level of the quality too, is network stuff, with it being the big day one release of this one. So we're going to turn on the balance mode, so you can see balance mode in the open world. It's got to do its little flicker thing. And then we can back out and start, and then show off the rest of the shooting experience and action, stuff like that, and hopefully giving you an idea of things. It is a bit of a weirdness that the fidelity mode is to have those kind of problems, but maybe, I guess if you have the ray tracing off. But then again, you know, you're probably going to want it balanced anyway, so that you actually get like a better performance level. It's a weird mix of, like, I guess you would say, different technical elements on this one. It's kind of a neat game. I've been dabbling in it for a bit here and having some fun with it. So I think you'll likely enjoy it as well. I just wish there was more kind of character personalization stuff, at least initially. And like I said, maybe we'll follow up with a full review of this after a while, but it's going to take a bit to kind of, you know, get everything going. Oh, defeat the targets? Okay. Kind of weird that it teleported me, but I'm assuming that's because I joined someone else's conflict in action here. Because it tries to group you up naturally with other players, which I think is kind of a cool feature to have available for this one. Yeah. Like I said, I wish there was like more Descendants. Because it just seems like a really limited like set. It'd be cool to have like a fire throwing person. Like you could literally reskin her and have her, you know, with some fire abilities would be kind of cool. At least I think so, but you know, kind of get what you get here. But it's got some neat abilities, all those modern shooter mechanics you could desire in regards to movement and stuff like that. Like I said, it's not a bad experience thus far. I've actually quite having some fun with it, and I kind of hope that this, you know, showcased the game for you well, gave you a feel for it on the PlayStation 5 and everything like that. It does look like some things need to be smoothed out for this version, but for day one, you know, kind of release for a multiplayer game, it's not a terrible situation for sure. But yeah, I kind of, again, your thoughts and stuff too on this game I'd love to hear, because I am curious about, you know, people's overall thoughts on this one too. But I hope this was helpful a bit. Oh, lots of customization for, like, you know, weapon gathering and looting and stuff, and then modules. There's quite a few systems behind this one too that we don't have time to really show off at this point.